there somebody else inside?
Yes. So I think there's.
Okay, sir, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Calm down. Calm down. Other than your roommate, is there anybody else inside the house?
I don't know.
So, this all went down on February 14th, 2020. Yep, Valentine's Day, around 1 in the morning. And sadly, that's exactly when it was all caught on, like body cam and surveillance cameras, during the very last moments of Amy Harwick's life. Amy was kinda like this therapist everybody knew and respected in Hollywood. And being a therapist, you'd think she gave pretty solid advice, right? And honestly, she did. She actually used all her knowledge to handle her own tough life situations. Amy really did try to live by the rules. But then, when she started seeing this guy named Gareth Pius, she had no clue that it would spiral into, like, 10 years of obsessive rage, controlling rules, and, ultimately, her death. Hey guys, welcome back to the Detective Mike channel. Today, we've got a story full of scams, betrayals, international fugitives, and cold-blooded murder. But before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment telling me what time it is and what city you're watching from. Alright, let's get started. Hollywood, Los Angeles. It was the night of February 14th, 2020, Valentine's Day. The time, just after 10 in the evening. Michael Herman, a young guy in his early 20s, was home alone. He lived on Mount Street in Los Angeles, and unlike most people that night, didn't have any big plans. So, instead of a romantic evening, he decided to hit the sack early to start the next morning fresh. By 9 o'clock, he was already in bed, slipping into his usual sleep routine in his first floor bedroom. But not long after he drifted off, a sharp, alarming crash ripped him awake. The sound was intense, like a plate smashing on the floor upstairs. His heart jumped, but he quickly reminded himself that he had a neighbor upstairs, someone who could easily be the source of weird noises. Her name was Amy Harwick. Even though Amy was supposed to be out that evening, she was planning to get back later, so Michael figured maybe she came home early and accidentally dropped something. With that thought, he let himself drift back into sleep at least for a little while. About 3 hours later, his sleep was torn apart again, but this time it was something way worse. Michael heard desperate, panicked screams coming from upstairs, along with sounds that seemed like bodies falling. His heart was pounding like crazy. He fumbled in the dark for his phone, but it was gone. Panic washed over him in a wave. He wanted to help, but fear literally froze him. The idea of running up those stairs to see what was happening upstairs was paralyzing. So, in a desperate attempt to do something, he did the only thing he could think of. He yelled up the stairs, hoping to scare whoever or whatever was causing the terror. Unfortunately, his voice didn't change a thing. The horror just kept going. Whatever was happening upstairs didn't stop, and didn't even seem to notice he was there. That's when Michael finally made a decision. He had to run outside and get help. He bolted out the back door, climbed over the fence, and ran to a neighbor's house. Surveillance cameras caught him pounding on the back door like crazy. He needed help, like, right now, but, of course, no one was home. So he sprinted across the street to another house, hammering on the door like a maniac. Again, no answer. Panic was starting to take over. Then, out of nowhere, he saw someone on the street, a stranger in the dark. Without hesitating for a second, Michael ran to them, begging them to call 911. At 1:11 in the morning, help was finally on the way. But what was really happening upstairs in that house, no one knew. All Michael and the stranger could do was stand there, wait, and be terrified. The police found Amy about 20 feet, like 6 meters below her balcony. Tragically, it looked like she had fallen from a height. No one knew if she was alive or not. Besides the serious injuries, the officers noticed marks on her neck like she'd been strangled. That's when they realized this wasn't some accidental fall. Suddenly, Amy started showing signs of life. Her body twitched, like in a seizure. That meant she was still breathing, but her condition was super critical. The cops and paramedics rushed to save her, but sadly, at 3 in the morning, she was declared dead. Once the investigation officially became a homicide case, detectives went back to the crime scene. There was just so much to make sense of. Broken windows, a torn necklace, Ring doorbell cameras, even syringes. Seriously, it looked like they'd stumbled onto a CSI set. The detectives were slammed from the first minute, trying to piece together all the evidence. And that's when they discovered the surveillance footage. 911 Emergency! This is Detective Mike. Can you hear me? 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 Can you hear me These videos ended up being absolutely crucial in cracking the case. When combined with Michael Herman's testimony, they painted a really disturbing picture of Amy's killer. And get this, while searching for the suspect, the police even found a video featuring him online. Let's just say, considering the way Amy died, that video definitely did not help his case at all.
Okay, Game of Thrones, first season. The brother and sister are up in the castle, and then the kid sees him through the window, and the brother has to go and throw the kid off and to kill him. And even though it's evil, I feel kind of bad for the brother, because even though he doesn't want to do it, his sister insisted.
Before we dive into the story of this disgusting guy, let's first take a look at who Amy was and why he was after her. Amy Harwick was adopted as a child and grew up in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. She seemed to live a typical suburban life and graduated from North Penn High School in 1999. But her ambitions went way beyond her hometown. In 2001, after marrying a heavy metal musician, she set her sights on moving to Los Angeles, the city that's supposed to be full of endless opportunities. Once she got there, Amy decided to start a new career. She worked as a personal trainer under the name Amy Nicole, and even released a workout DVD called Amy Nicole's Fit to help pay for school. She took on all kinds of side gigs, bartending, go-go dancing, even modeling. Under a different name, Nicolette Novak, she also posed for Playboy, perfectly combining brains and creativity in everything she did. But for Amy, all these roles were just stepping stones toward a bigger dream, a real passion, understanding the human mind. Following that path, she earned a master's degree in clinical psychology from Pepperdine University, and later, a PhD from the Institute for Advanced Study of Human Sexuality. Over the next several years, Amy built a reputation as a respected therapist, specializing in family and relationship counseling, with a particular focus on sexual health. Charismatic and deeply knowledgeable, she became a frequent guest on podcasts and TV shows, and even ran her own YouTube channel, openly sharing her work and the challenges that came with it.
This is Dr. Amy Harwick, licensed marriage and family therapist. Today we're going to talk about self-care. So when I have a client that's struggling with some stuff in life, maybe they've had some anxiety, depression, I check in and ask how their self-care is. But what is self-care? How do we do it, and why do we do it? That's what we're going to talk about today. So self-care is something that's initiated by you, it's deliberate, and its intention is to help you function better both mentally and physically. So it's a pretty broad spectrum of what self-care is. But it's anything you're doing for yourself to pay attention to yourself to improve yourself.
In 2014, Amy published a book called The New Sex Bible for Women, and the very next year, she appeared in a documentary titled Addicted to Sexting. As you can see, Amy was an incredibly smart woman who drew attention not just nationally, but internationally. Sure, her past work with Playboy highlighted her attractiveness, but it was her intelligence that really earned her fame. Outside of work, she loved her family endlessly, and one of her favorite family traditions was their annual cookie baking day.
Hi, this is Dr. Amy Harwick, and today we're going to talk about how to cope with your fear of flying. So there's a reason I'm talking about this today, because I have a fear of flying. I always have. It's always been a problem. For a long time, I would, take my prescribed Xanax. Still didn't really work very well. I would grab strangers' hands. I would cry to strangers. I would have strange conversations with the flight attendants.
As you might expect, the more popular Amy became, the more attention she got from men. She wasn't an exception. Throughout her 20s and 30s, she dated different people, and that's how she met a guy named Gareth Pierce House. In Hollywood, it's pretty common to meet people who are also in the industry. That was true for Gareth. While he worked professionally as a software engineer, he also did red carpet photography, which gave him access to a lot of famous people in California. He was 3 years older than Amy, and not famous at all, but thanks to his connections, he often found himself rubbing shoulders with celebrities. It's believed they met in 2010, either at a social event or through mutual friends, since their worlds partially overlapped. Friends of Amy say that at first, she thought he was loud, charming, and a little funny, and that's exactly what drew her to him. But by 2011, things took a dark turn. According to her friends, Gareth became possessive, controlling, and even emotionally abusive. Unfortunately, that was just the start. Verbal insults escalated, and soon Amy became a victim of choking and physical violence. Friends claimed they saw him throw her to the ground and punch her, and as terrifying as that was, he didn't stop there. He once pushed Amy out of a moving car on the highway. It was a miracle she walked away with only a bloody nose and a few scratches, because it could have ended so much worse. And to make matters even scarier, it happened late at night, so she had to make her way home alone in the dark and the cold. Eventually, Amy realized she just couldn't have this pathetic man in her life anymore, and in 2011, she finally broke things off with him for good. But, unfortunately, as is so often the case with abusers, this man-child couldn't handle being rejected. He wasn't about to leave her alone, callous, self-absorbed, and immature. Her decision to walk away simply wasn't part of his plan. That same year, Amy had to file for a restraining order. Now, no one really knows why that first restraining order was dismissed after she didn't show up to the hearing. There are a few theories floating around online. Maybe Gareth promised to leave her alone if she dropped the case. Or maybe she felt too much pressure to keep fighting. Either way, he kept stalking her over the next several months. So in March 2012, she filed a new restraining order. This time, it was officially approved. From then on, Gareth was legally required to stay at least 1,000 yards, roughly 900 meters away from Amy for 3 years, from March 2012 to March 2015. That gave Amy a chance to heal, rebuild her life, and move forward. And for Gareth, theoretically, it was a chance to stop being a total idiot. In her restraining order, Amy wrote, "He came to my apartment and smashed 10 picture frames on my doors, damaging them. He broke into the building to do this, putting the children in the complex at risk, and sent me a message. It's gonna get worse." The next day, he broke in again and left 4 dozen flowers stuck to my door. The day after that, he snuck into the building and waited outside, blasting loud music. Then, he started sending threatening letters to my friends. In her earlier restraining order, she had described Gareth choking her, pinning her against walls, kicking her, and throwing her to the floor. So when the restraining order finally went into effect, there was really only one thing to say: thank God. For the most part, Gareth did follow the restrictions, and Amy kept as far away from him as possible, using a technique called grey rocking, basically, making yourself as unemotional and unresponsive as possible so the abuser loses interest. And no grey rocking doesn't mean she was throwing rocks at him, it's just a way to avoid giving emotional fuel to an abuser. Years passed, and Amy's life took an unexpected but positive turn. She met her next partner. This happened at a private party, where she accidentally crossed paths with famous comedian Drew Kay. At the time, Drew was 58, 23 years older than Amy, but they immediately clicked. A few weeks later, they went on their first date to Disneyland, and a few months after that, they suddenly got engaged. They say that sparks in a skillet rarely last, and sure enough, despite the intense chemistry, their relationship ended just a few months later in 2018. Still, by this point, Amy had already made huge strides in her life, both personally and professionally. She had become a respected sex therapist and often worked with the charity Pineapple Support, providing psychological support to people in the adult film industry. Her family said of her, she was a bright light in this world and an unwavering defender of women. Even though she and Drew broke up, they remained very good friends and continued to respect each other. And, of course, she had long since moved on from Gareth. By that point, nearly 10 years had passed since their relationship, and honestly, only a completely obsessed lunatic would still be thinking about it, right? Besides, she hadn't heard from Gareth in years, even though the temporary restraining order had ended in 2015, but there were some strange incidents. For example, in 2015, after the order had expired, Amy came home and noticed that her house looked like it had been broken into, and when she checked her computer, she discovered that someone had hacked it and erased all her files. At the time, she didn't know, and maybe she never found out that Gareth later admitted he had hacked her social media, been watching her, and had never stopped thinking about her. So, did he break into her house other times too? Sadly, the answer is almost certainly yes. Even though she hadn't had any contact with Gareth for years and was clearly moving forward with her life, nothing could have prepared Amy for what came next. They say Hollywood is a small world. Once you're in that scene, you get used to seeing the same faces, the same events, the same people, over and over. And, well, you can probably guess where this is going. Sooner or later, two people from the same scene cross paths again. And, of course, I'm talking about Amy and Gareth. While Amy was on her way up, becoming increasingly well known in her field, Gareth, well, he was still basically a nobody. But he worked as a photographer in the industry, so the encounter was sudden, but at the same time, totally predictable. In 2020, they ran into each other again at the awards ceremony. Right at the start of the evening, the lobby of the swanky downtown hotel was packed. Porn stars were everywhere, and I'm not just talking about martinis. Look to the right, men in shiny suits with unbuttoned collars. Look to the left, women strutting in dizzyingly high heels and sheer dresses. You could even spot a couple connected by a collar. Clearly, this was no ordinary hotel event. That's because all these people had come for the X-Biz Awards, a sort of Golden Globes for the adult film industry, only with much more explicit categories. And yes, Amy was there too, which made sense. She was not just a sex therapist, but also a former model. With her bright red lips and a black knee-length dress, there are tons of videos online showing her smiling, chatting, and looking absolutely stunning that night. But at that moment, she didn't know that her life had just taken a completely different turn and there was nothing she could do about it. Gareth was there too, and before she even realized it, their eyes met, her stomach dropped, like something cold and wrong had grabbed hold inside her, and there was nowhere to run. Honestly, she probably expected the odds of seeing him to be slim, but that didn't mean she wanted to. He charged toward her, and what started as a simple hi quickly turned into something much worse. Within minutes, Gareth was already crying, his voice trembling with rage, muttering ridiculous things like, "You ruined my life," end quote. "Damn it, you hypocrite. You broke my heart. How can you even be here?" A few of Amy's friends were nearby and saw everything firsthand. They later recalled that he even started replaying old voice messages he had left her 8 years ago. It was obvious Gareth had never gotten over the breakup, and we know for sure because he told Amy straight up that he was still obsessed with her. Everyone around noticed his meltdown. Luckily, a few mutual friends managed to separate them, and while Gareth looked completely shattered, Amy was ice cold, at least on the outside. She held herself together, kept smiling, maintained polite small talk. If she was scared, she didn't show it. Unfortunately, Gareth didn't stop there. Later that night, he found her again. This time, the conversation was quieter, but the tension was no less intense. Amy, calm as ever, smiled politely, thanked him for talking, and even apologized if she had ever caused him pain. And she said one more thing, very clearly. "We're not friends anymore, but that doesn't mean we have to be enemies." Even though Amy had other plans after the ceremony, she abandoned them. Gareth had clearly frightened her, and she didn't feel like being social at all. She went home, sat down at her laptop, and wrote an email to herself. It said, "Tonight, I felt real fear. I went to the ceremony with Hernando. When we arrived, we were standing in a super long line for the red carpet. While we were waiting, I saw Gareth walk by with a camera obviously working. I decided just to look the other way and ignore him. I thought maybe he wouldn't even notice me. The very next day, Gareth found her number online and sent her a message. Not sure if you're still mad. Since yesterday you said, 'How do we end this? But if you want, we could meet again.' Amy replied, 'I think it was good we could talk yesterday. I hope you heard me when I said I'm really sorry for anything that may have hurt you. I think it's best if we take a break now. We can be polite, respect each other, and move forward on our own paths.' Gareth's response, 'So you're just disappearing again? That's my worst nightmare. And, unfortunately, it's exactly what I expected.' Over the next few days, Gareth sent Amy dozens of messages, but she made it crystal clear she wasn't going to respond. Not once. She was living her life, moving forward, and this guy was already starting to scare her again. But even with complete silence from her, Gareth didn't stop. He even left a few voicemails, crying and begging her to meet him. That's when Amy decided to take her safety seriously. She did a few things. Blocked his number, added extra locks to her front door and all the windows, bought a pepper spray. Clearly, Amy wasn't joking anymore. She desperately wanted to feel safe. For the next 3.5 weeks, she didn't get a single call or message from him, and he, of course, didn't hear a thing from her. Amy hoped maybe, just maybe, this was temporary, that he had finally let go of his twisted, obsessive behavior. But sadly, Her hopes couldn't have been further from the truth. But all this time, Gareth was planning, plotting, preparing, and on Valentine's Day, 2020, his plan came to life. On February 14th, 2020, Gareth drove 51 miles northeast from his home to Amy's place. He parked in an empty lot behind her house and started waiting for the right moment. Meanwhile, Amy wasn't home. She was out celebrating Valentine's Day with friends. That morning, they went for a sunrise walk, and then Amy had breakfast with her friend Cleo. Around 7 in the evening, she and the others went to the Globe Theatre to watch live performances. She was wearing a beaded necklace that, later, would become a key piece of evidence at the crime scene. At 8:51 p.m, Gareth entered the empty lot and headed toward their yard. A neighbour's Ring camera caught him on video. A minute later, he turned the camera off. At 8:52, another Ring camera caught him walking by, and he disabled that one too. At 8:53, he turned off the first camera again. Right then, Amy's roommate Michael heard a loud crash upstairs. He was already in bed, asleep. Thinking maybe Amy had come home early and accidentally broken something, he just went back to sleep. But soon, it would become clear it wasn't Amy. It was Gareth. He had just smashed the French doors, crawled into Amy's bedroom like some kind of cockroach, and lay in her bed, waiting for her to come home. Around 10 p.m, Amy and her friends went to the Nomad for tea, and stayed there until midnight. At 1 a.m, Amy returned home. She parked in the driveway, walked up to the front door, unlocked it, and went upstairs to her bedroom. Unfortunately, that was the last time she would ever climb those stairs. Her roommate woke again, this time to Amy's screams and the sound of bodies hitting the floor. Not finding his phone, he first yelled upstairs, hoping to scare off the attacker. When that didn't work, he ran outside, climbed over the fence, and, gasping for breath, began pounding on a neighbour's door, desperately begging a stranger to call 911.
So is there somebody else inside?
Yes. So I think there's.
Okay, sir, do me a favor, calm down. Calm down. Other than your roommate, is there anybody else inside the house?
I don't know. No, I just heard her screaming.
Have you called?
I threw him to the ground. I've been calling for her through his windows. Nobody's answering. Nothing.
Hey, let's get an additional unit.
It's not moving, sir.
Yeah, I know, but
Maybe we can if you want.
yeah,
But we're gonna go in there.
Yeah, I know. 6:15. Can I get an additional unit for some office?
Is requesting additional unit 208 Mount Street.
So you were essentially locked out. Yes. I can hop the fence, but my keys were left in the house. I was in the middle of sleep.
So why is this? Why can't we get in here?
Because it's locked. Because she came home and
Listen, sir. You need to relax a little bit so that we can get all the information, okay?
Okay.
So how are you planning on getting back in here?
I don't know. I guess hopping the fence and getting my keys.
At 1:25 a.m, the sheriff's deputies arrived. Michael was in a panic. The situation was tense. The officers had to figure out whether his story was true, or if perhaps he was the attacker himself. Since Michael's keys were left inside, the deputies climbed over the fence, risking a potential attack. Once inside, they almost immediately found Amy's body about 20 feet below her bedroom balcony, on the far side of the house. It wasn't clear if she was alive, but the scene was deeply troubling. Inside, the house was a mess, an overturned purse, belongings scattered in haste. Her jacket and a beaded necklace had been tossed in the living room, as if thrown carelessly. The bedroom was even stranger. On the third-floor balcony, officers found a syringe. At first, they suspected heroin, but FBI analysis revealed a lethal nicotine solution inside. This was especially suspicious, as Amy neither smoked, drank, nor used drugs. By morning, the point of entry became obvious. Sunlight hit jagged shards of glass from the French doors next to a bloodstain. Amy's bed was made, blankets tossed aside, as if someone had been lying there, waiting. The evidence painted a chilling picture. Although Michael was in the most convenient position to be a suspect, it quickly became clear at the station he had nothing to do with the attack. And that's when the Ring doorbell footage revealed the person police were truly after. Meanwhile, Amy's best friend, Robert, also arrived at the station, bringing a string of digital messages from Amy, in which she had written, "I'm really scared. Garrett makes me feel uneasy. I feel unsafe. His behavior frightens me." All of this pointed directly to the fact that Amy had been terrified of her stalker. and it had been documented well before her death. Adding to this, investigators found her broken necklace at the crime scene, the very one she had been wearing that night. Signs of a struggle in the house, broken doors, disabled cameras, lights left on in the bedroom, and evidence of strangulation on her body all painted a very clear picture of what had happened. The physical evidence was equally damning. Scratches and bruises on Garrett's face that appeared at the time, his DNA under Amy's fingernails, and neighbor testimony describing a suspicious figure near her home the night before the attack. Combined with the complete lack of any logical reason for him to be there, it all pointed unmistakably to a deliberate assault. Another critical detail: Garrett had systematically disabled multiple security cameras around the property, almost minute by minute, a sign of premeditation. He broke in through the French doors, crawled into her bed, and waited for her to return home in the middle of the night. Taken together with the fact that he had driven 51 miles to her house on Valentine's Day, brought a syringe containing a lethal dose of liquid nicotine, hid his car, and waited in the dark, the prosecution was able to prove beyond doubt this was not an impulsive attack. It was a carefully planned murder.
There's nothing I want anyways. I'm going to eat more. I don't need that. I got my six-pack back. That took about a week. So, I mean, if you want to go to jail, if you want to get fed, maybe do that.
Are you trying to sell your shit? What are you trying to do? Move it down there? Get a U-Haul down there? What?
Well, yeah, a combo. So, one thing is, obviously, my name is a big thing right now. So, if you could sell stuff as mine to, like, weird collectors, you should be able to get more money for it. You know that's a real thing? You know that's a real thing?
Yeah.
And same thing with my car. My car isn't paid off, so hopefully I can sell that for more than it's worth. They're the same thing. And yeah, so whatever my brother wants to have, he can have, and whatever he doesn't want, it needs to get sold, so he doesn't have to move it if possible. And yeah, hopefully try to do that. I also told, he probably won't do it, I told him to get all the 6,000 jokes I've written from my Google Docs. I told him to get them and then turn them into a book and sell it online as my book jokes, because I don't make money.
Garrett's lawyers tried to argue that Amy might have accidentally fallen from the balcony and that the syringe could have been intended for something other than murder. But the prosecution's case was strong. Amy's digital messages, signs of strangulation, eyewitness testimony, blood on the doors and floor, everything pointed to a premeditated killing. Prosecutors believed that Garrett had initially planned to kill her with the nicotine syringe, but later decided to throw her off the balcony instead. He attacked her, strangled her, moved her body onto the balcony, and then pushed her over. The fall caused a fractured pelvis, liver damage, and brain injuries. Garrett chose not to testify in his own defense. On the 29th of September 2023, the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder and first-degree burglary, with the special aggravating circumstance of lying in wait, confirming the intentional nature of the crime. A few months later, on the 6th of December 2023, the court handed down the final sentence: life in prison without the possibility of parole. The severe verdict reflected not only the calculated and brutal nature of the crime, but also the profound impact it had on Amy's family, friends, and the wider community.
Accordingly, it is a judgment and sentence of this court that the defendant shall be sentenced to a term of life without the possibility of parole with respect to count 1 for the underlying murder charge, coupled with the special circumstance allegation alleged under Penal Code Section 190.2A15. Thus, the defendant shall receive a total sentencing term of life without the possibility of parole, and with the 4-year midterm with respect to the burglary charge to be stayed per Penal Code Section 654.
Amy's death was as tragic as it was horrifying. She had so many plans, and just days before the tragedy, she was talking about how much she loved her friends. Her friends and her family mourn her and the happiness she brought into their lives. It's important to note that Amy was a therapist, helping improve the lives of countless women in Hollywood and beyond. Garrett didn't just take her life, he took away the opportunity for many others to receive care and support through her work. Looking at this case, it's clear. Garrett really saw himself as some kind of funny joker, genuinely believing he could sell all his jokes in a book. In reality, the only truly laughable thing in this story is him. Garrett will spend the rest of his life behind bars, far from society and away from all women. And that's why I believe justice was truly served. And seriously, just imagine him in the courtroom, bragging to his friends about his six-pack. Maybe he really did have a sense of humor. One day in Ohio, a really alarming call came through to 911. On the other end of the line, a woman was speaking. She told the operator that while living in a rented house, they had discovered a hidden camera in the bathroom. A place that's always supposed to feel private and safe had turned into a violation of personal freedom and privacy. When the police arrived at the scene, they were completely shocked. The vibe was tense. From the outside, the house looked totally normal, even calm, but inside, a terrifying truth was waiting. Every step through the rooms raised the sense of unease, because no one knew how many cameras were installed, or who else might have been spied on. It later came out that a 39-year-old man, a name already known to law enforcement as a paedophile, had been watching the young family. His methods were cold and calculated. Cameras were set up all around the bathroom, and he systematically spied on all his renters, completely violating their right to privacy and safety. After a thorough search, the police found numerous video files documenting horrific crimes. According to official reports, the victims included 49 adults and 13 children. Every single file confirmed just how extensive and systematic his criminal activity was, and the sheer number of victims shocked even experienced investigators. So, what happened to this paedophile next? What sentence did the court hand down? And why did he even dare commit such horrifying acts, destroying the lives of so many people? These questions linger and really make you think about how important it is to feel safe in your own home, and that evil can hide in the places you least expect. Today's story takes us to Ohio, a chill, green state in the Midwest, where big cities mix with gorgeous nature. Tourists flock here for places like Hocking Hills National Park, museums in Cleveland and Columbus, and the cozy vibe of small-town America. It's a perfect spot for hiking, family trips, or just soaking up that classic American atmosphere. Ohio isn't just about parks and museums, it's got some pretty famous claims to fame. The birthplace of aviation. Yep, the Wright brothers, who built the first airplane in history, were from here, a hub of space history. Neil Armstrong, the first person to walk on the moon, was born right here in Ohio, a sports powerhouse. Teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, Cleveland Browns, and Cincinnati Bengals all call this state home. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The legendary museum in Cleveland is one of the USA's ultimate music landmarks. Now, vacation rentals are super popular in Ohio, especially around Hocking Hills, which locals call the state's main cabin zone. You've got hundreds of options for every budget, from simple wooden cabins to luxury lodges with pools, hot tubs, and giant decks. All of them are tucked into forests, close to caves, waterfalls, and hiking trails. And it's right here that our story begins. A little before 9 o'clock in the morning, in the quiet forests of Hocking Hills, Ohio, police arrive at a rented cabin. What was supposed to be a peaceful vacation for a young family had suddenly turned into a nightmare. According to the victims, they discovered a hidden camera in the bathroom. From the very first moment, their sense of safety and privacy was shattered, and the house, once cozy and ordinary from the outside, was hiding a dark, terrifying secret. Pay attention to the name Sly Fox Lodge, and that's exactly when the name started to sound different. What used to seem like a simple, even playful name now carried this eerie weight, echoing with tension and unease, almost like it was warning anyone who entered about the danger lurking inside.
Hi!
It's nice to meet you.
Deputy McMahon.
How's it going?
Good, about you?
Oh, pretty good.
Deputy McMahon.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say, so we went out to eat last night. We went to the gas station and whatnot. We came back here. Me and Dole got into the hot tub. I went down there and was changing in the bathroom, whole nine, and then he walked in there to go pee and just happened to notice something black at the ceiling. And when he reached up there and picked it up, he thought, you know, he's like, that looks like a camera, so he hollered for me, and I went walking in there. And as I pulled it down, I mean, it definitely looked like a, you know, like a little mini cam. So we pulled the drop ceiling or whatever, we pulled that back, and as soon as I found, like, it's all linked, connected, like, I don't know. I don't know, it's got me freaked out.
It was Alyssa Breads who had come to Sly Fox Lodge with her husband and their 4-year-old child, hoping for a quiet family weekend surrounded by nature. They had no idea that their short getaway was about to turn into a nightmare. Alyssa and her husband led the officer to the bathroom on the first floor of the cabin, where, according to them, they had discovered a hidden camera the night before.
And it was poked through right here. I could just barely see it. And I said, what the heck? And I popped it. I mean, you can get up there and check it out. We ended up unhooking it.
Yeah, I did unhook it because it was green and flashing like it was on. So I was like, are you kidding me right now? We stood on it a couple times.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, we've kind of been freaked out, man. Like,
yeah.
A little bit.
The police carefully inspected the bathroom. In one corner, the officers found what investigators later described as a black pinhole, or tape camera, hidden so cleverly that an untrained eye could have completely missed it. Preliminary reports suggested the camera was connected to an extension cord and securely taped in place with electrical tape.
Yeah, that little piece right there was just barely, I could barely see it. And I said, what the heck's that? And I popped that little tile and I pulled it down.
And then that green, or the box, the black box that's attached to it, it was lighting up green and like flashing, like it was actively working.
That does look like a lens.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I thought too.
So then that brought me to, now I know I'm probably just paranoid, you know, and I got a little one here, so it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not okay with this at all. So I pulled it up online and I found it's called a Nano. And I mean, that's the exact same thing as what that is up there. That's what I came up with online.
Yeah.
Because I asked him, I was like, okay, are we being crazy? Is it really not? Like, you know, I don't want to call it in if it's not something serious.
Later, investigators pointed to their suspect, 39-year-old Jason Yard, the property owner. His unsettling history of purchases on Amazon included multiple spy gadgets, Wi-Fi cameras, smoke detector cameras, clock cameras, and micro SD memory cards. According to the police report, detectives stated that all these purchases tied to Jason's email and IP addresses traced back to his home or business network and dated all the way back to 2019. At first glance, Jason Daniel Yard didn't seem unusual at all. He owned a rental cabin called Sly Fox Lodge in the popular natural area of Hocking Hills. He had bought the cabin in 2019 and rented it out to travelers looking to escape into the woods and explore caves. Almost nothing is publicly known about his education, work, or personal life. Yard wasn't a public figure and lived a quiet, low-profile life. Everything changed in February 2024, when the family renting his cabin discovered a hidden camera in the bathroom, tucked away in the ceiling.
So me and him weren't probably sure if we can just take it, since...
Right.
So he's seeing about maybe getting a warrant so that we can just go ahead and remove it, but I believe he'll have to go through that process of getting a warrant since it does...
Well, what freaks me out too is not only, I mean, we have a 4-year-old here with us, but the last 2 reviews, that was literally just this past week, this past weekend of people that was here. Both of them had listed that they had children with them, and I'm like, that just freaks me out.
Official reports indicate that the victims included 49 adults and 13 children. And let me tell you, these numbers aren't just statistics, they represent real lives, real families, whose peace and sense of safety were completely violated.
Man, it's a little ribbon. What?
Now, let's take a closer look at the camera itself. According to the police, this device was motion activated, which made it incredibly sneaky. Any movement in the bathroom could automatically trigger recording, and the victims had no idea they were being watched. The camera used a micro SD card to store all the footage. If you look closely, you can even catch the reflection of the lens inside that tiny device, which, at first glance, looked completely harmless and totally unnoticeable.
I was in here peeing, I was peeing.
I changed in here like 3 times since before we found it.
We've been searching all over since we found out last night.
The family shared how every trip to the bathroom, every moment in the toilet, was being streamed straight to this creep's house. The woman explained that they actually lived about 2 hours away and had only rented the cabin for 1 day. They were planning to leave that same evening. They had come to the cabin hoping to enjoy the hot tub, but after that, they noticed a camera tucked in the corner of the room. Following the wires, they traced it to a neighboring room, which the woman then showed to the officers.
Flashlight. The extension cord runs into that closet in here that has the washer and dryer. It's supposed to be a linen closet, but...
I think it's not. The door's locked. But
yeah, I was about to say it wasn't completely shut. I don't know. There's no light.
Next, the couple led the police to the laundry room, which, according to them, they had accidentally left open. At first glance, the room looked totally normal, just an everyday, ordinary space, but now it seemed suspicious. A cord stretched across the floor, leading straight up to the ceiling, like it was secretly connected to something hidden out of sight.
But right there's that cord, yeah.
Okay. So it's not working?
How those work, but
That's crazy. I've never seen a camera like that.
I mean, did she show you the thing she found on there?
What?
She showed me where they like looked it up, and it looked exactly like it's some nano cam.
That's crazy.
It's got. Look, you look like. Like they're saying there's an extension cord running over.
I just seen it.
Okay. Did she show her?
Is this connected to like something green? Like a green extension?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over there inside the room.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little antenna there on that electrical tape.
Are you kidding?
Box. I mean, like I said, you can see her reflection.
That's
crazy.
That's crazy.
She was wanting to head out last night. It was like 10 o'clock. I was like, man, we got a 2-hour drive home, but
She was
it was
still in there.
It was pointing straight. I mean, you could tell it was shining like right towards the shower, toilet.
Okay, so it's kind of like
yeah, just like kind of like your flashlights.
You think it was pointing out right there in that hole?
Yep, it come right out of that hole. That's how I seen it.
Did you take a picture of that hole?
Yeah. Look, if you look up there, you can see the electrical tape.
You think I'll break it? I don't want to break it.
I mean, everybody's been standing on it, so.
I'm not doing it. I don't want to get sued.
Detectives reported that starting from 2023, the SD card in the device contained numerous recordings of people using the bathroom. Among them were especially disturbing clips like footage of an intimate moment between a couple, which was a shocking violation of their privacy and trust. Another recording apparently showed someone detectives identified as Jason himself, the suspect, setting up the camera. The footage made it clear that his actions were systematic and carefully planned. His intrusion into other people's private lives was definitely not accidental. After that, one of the officers cautiously started heading upstairs to check the rest of the house.
Like I said, I searched up here after we found that one. I was searching everywhere trying to see if I could find anything. We slept in here. That's good. I opened the closet up and everything too. I might have missed something though. It's hard telling. I mean, that little camera is just...
Well, so some of our, some agencies have like a detector where they can like find cameras. I'm not sure if we have one. That'd be something I have to ask our detective. I'm about to hit my head off that.
Okay.
Okay, is this room unlocked?
I don't think so. And it says in the book in there, I mean, I know you're not allowed to have cameras in bathrooms or anything. There's camera out back, upstairs and downstairs, which is, you know, whatever, that's fine, but inside, we were like, man,
no.
In the US, laws around hidden cameras in hotel rooms and rental homes are built on one main idea. People have a right to full privacy in the places where they live or stay. The moment a guest steps into a hotel room, bathroom, or rented cabin, the law assumes they have a reasonable expectation of privacy. That means no hidden cameras are allowed in bathrooms, bedrooms, or other private spaces under any circumstances. At the federal level, this is backed by the Video Voyeurism Prevention Act, which explicitly bans secretly recording someone in a place where they have a right to privacy. And if the camera also records sound, the crime gets even more serious, because federal laws against illegal surveillance and eavesdropping kick in. Violators can face big fines and even prison time. Individual states have their own rules too. In most states, including Ohio, installing hidden cameras in bathrooms, bedrooms, or any private areas is straight up a criminal offense. Penalties vary from months to years behind bars, depending on whether children were involved, how many people were affected, and whether the perpetrator shared the footage.
Oh, yeah, that one's locked. And we can check everything that's reasonable. What the? What the heck? Nothing weirder than the fact that this is.
I've never seen a camera like that ever.
No doubt, man.
Ever.
Pretty crazy. Usually.
Dave's supposed to be actually heading here.
Okay, Dave's coming?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the detectives is on his way.
Alrighty.
If you guys could just wait for him to show
No
up.
problem.
I mean,
We can
he'll
hang out here
he'll
for-
probably be like 15, 20 minutes.
No worries,
He's just
man.
gotta run to the office.
I ain't never rushed.
The police decided to call in backup an officer with a special device capable of detecting hidden cameras. His job was to thoroughly sweep every corner of the house and make sure no other spying devices were left unnoticed. Meanwhile, the detectives later conducted a full search of the property after obtaining an official search warrant. During their detailed inspection, they didn't find any other suspicious devices besides the bathroom camera and the cord in the laundry room. The house, which had seemed cozy and normal from the outside, was technically empty, but the sense of unease and violated privacy lingered in every corner. Soon after, a supervisor arrived to assess the situation and coordinate the next steps.
That green extension cord there is the one I was mentioning to you. See where I'm not there?
Yeah.
Over here is the. So, like I said, they pulled it out. That ribbon there's got the camera. The lens was poking through that corner right there. There's a hole there. They said it was kind of angled so that it would have been pointing at the shower. But you can see I stood on that, it's sturdy enough. You can see the extension cord running over from the wall over to here. See the plug there, they unplugged it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see a little antenna, there's a box there, they said was flashing green, and then the wire was running out over there. There's a piece of electric tape there too. And that's where the lens is poking out.
After a brief chat with his colleague, the officer decided to approach the family to talk to them about their rights in this situation. He carefully explained that they had every right to know what had happened, and that all the evidence collected would be used to investigate the case and protect their privacy. At the same time, the officer tried to gather all the details of what had happened.
Did any of y'all use that bathroom?
Yeah.
We did, yeah.
Is he in there?
Yep.
Yes.
It determines there's
Yeah.
A, B, C, and D sections of voyeurism, and if there's a
Right.
minor involved,
Yeah.
that bumps it up
He's
quite a
peed in
bit.
there, and then I changed in there
I
2 or
used
3
the bathroom
times.
in
Yeah,
there, yeah.
you used the bathroom. He went in there and used the bathroom. when he changed his clothes, he was out here.
I think, yeah, you might
But
be
he
out here,
still,
but he was
I mean,
peeing in there.
he walked in there and peed.
Is it just you guys?
Yeah.
Yes, you heard that right. Alyssa told the police that all three of them, including their little child, had used the bathroom before they even noticed the camera. Just thinking about it made hearts sink with anxiety. Their most private moments could have been recorded without their consent. When they stepped outside, the police spotted 2 more outdoor cameras, positioned in ways that immediately raised concern. One seemed aimed right at the hot tub, and the other was set up near the front door of the house.
I wonder if there's one on the other side. I mean, I could see having one of those.
Yeah, that's what's going on. I don't think I've ever seen one on the front of the main door. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna go back to the office and get started on it.
Okay.
After thoroughly inspecting the exterior of the house, the police returned to the family. They sat down with Alyssa, her husband, and their little child to explain what they had found. The officers went through the details of everything discovered inside and outside the cabin, emphasizing just how serious the violation of their privacy really was.
Was creepy. When I was looking, I was on the website trying to find out who the owners were for this.
25.
Hang on a second. Anyhow, I was looking up, it was like hogginghills.com or something like that, but I was trying to figure out which rental cabin it was. We deal with rental cabins a lot, but it was like I noticed in the bathroom where that drop down small cutout is, it was tilted.
Yeah.
There, or half off.
Yeah.
However you want to say it. It's creepy.
Yeah, very creepy. No, that's what I said. You see this crap in movies. You don't. I've never in a million years would I.
I mean, doing what I do, I'm kind of.
In July 2024, Jason Daniel Yard was arrested. He faced serious charges: video voyeurism and the illegal use of a minor in materials involving nudity. This arrest marked the climax of an investigation that had started with the accidental discovery of a camera in the bathroom at Sly Fox Lodge. Yard's actions turned out to be systematic and meticulously planned for years. He had violated the privacy of numerous families, including children. The news of his arrest brought mixed emotions for the victims. On one hand, there was relief that the person responsible had been caught. On the other, there was horror and the harsh realization of just how many lives had been affected. For Alyssa and her family, it was only the first step toward reclaiming the sense of safety they had lost during what was supposed to be a peaceful getaway in the woods.
And when you come to a cabin, as you do a hotel room somewhere, you expect your privacy and it's a secure setting. And this happens to be one that wasn't so private.
An Ohio man will be sentenced next month on a felony charge after an investigation revealed he placed a hidden camera inside his Hocking Hills vacation rental. Investigators say the camera captured video of dozens of people. 10 TV's Carla Rogner reports from Hocking County with this investigation.
This all started last February when a family staying at a Hocking Hills cabin found a hidden camera in their bathroom. Deputies traced that camera back to the property owner, and since then they've gone through dozens of files and identified more than 60 victims, including 13 children. It was supposed to be an idyllic stay in the hills at a cabin called Sly Fox Lodge off State Route 664, until investigators say a family found this camera hidden in the cabin basement.
It was in view of a commode, which was in the far left corner of the bathroom, and also in view was a walk-in shower. And it was hidden in the track ceiling, like a drop ceiling.
Detective Lieutenant David Wright poured through video files that showed guests using the bathroom and several files showing the property owner, Jason Yard, adjusting the camera. Lieutenant Wright says Yard bought the cabin in 2019. The video files in the camera they recovered date back to 2023.
Don't know how long the camera had been there prior to the actual recordings that we have.
Sheriff Lanny North says this is the first time his department has investigated a case like this.
And when you come to a cabin, as you do a hotel room somewhere, you expect your privacy and it's a secure setting. And this happens to be one that wasn't so private.
Detectives say the camera hidden inside that bathroom was the size of a thumbtack. That's why it can make these really hard to find. But they say there are some things you can look out for.
Later, on November 12th, the trial for Jason Daniel Yard took place. Online records show that the 39-year-old man agreed to a plea deal, but he did not plead guilty to the serious charge of illegal use of a minor in materials involving nudity. Despite his refusal to admit guilt, the judge handed down a sentence, 6 to 9 years in prison. In addition, Yard will be required to register as a sex offender for the next 25 years, adding an extra layer of oversight and protection for the public. This verdict underscores the seriousness of the crimes he committed and the scope of the invasion of privacy suffered by so many families. For victims like Alyssa Breads and her family, it was a first step toward justice, even though the pain and anxiety from what they endured still remain.
This may be a renter's worst nightmare. Every renter is concerned about their privacy, and you violated that privacy. A family vacation with a minor child is about creating memories, not destroying them.
A family vacation is what brought Alyssa Brads and her family to stay at the Sly Fox cabin at Hocking Hills when they discovered a hidden camera inside the bathroom.
That camera recorded footage of me, my husband, and our 5-year-old son while we were changing our clothes on several occasions and using the restroom. The thought of a stranger secretly watching all of us and recording those moments is absolutely sickening and has forever changed all of us.
Detectives traced the camera back to property owner Jason Yard, who owned the place since 2019. They found video of more than 50 guests, including 13 children. In court, Yard admitted to hiding the camera.
What started as security for my rental property turned into unnecessary curiosity. I knew it was wrong, but the novelty quickly wore off.
He told the judge he never meant to record children.
I'm a good person who's made a terrible mistake.
But the judge said he did not believe him.
That is the reason why I am going against the joint recommendation in this case. I think that the joint recommendation of 4 to 6 years goes against the purposes and principles of felony sentencing. I think that this crime is, and the actions in this crime is more serious.
The judge saying Yard's crime will have a chilling effect on victims like Alyssa and her family.
We can't walk into a bathroom or a rental home now without checking every corner, every device, and wondering if someone is watching again. It has robbed us all of basic sense of security that every family deserves.
I walked into the garage, and when I walked into the garage, she goes, "Oh, I just did it."
On October 29th, 2022, the Santa Fe police got a really tense call about a possible murder. The voice on the line was all shaky. This guy was telling them that his girlfriend had just killed another girl. He was speaking in fragments, like he couldn't fully wrap his head around what had just happened, but man, you could hear the real fear in his words. When the officers arrived at the property, they opened the garage and, oh my god, they froze literally stone-faced from shock. What they saw was something even seasoned cops didn't see every day. The whole place had this heavy, suffocating vibe, like the air itself had frozen, and everything around them felt unreal, ridiculously quiet. So, what was it really? Just a regular murder? Maybe out of jealousy? Or, like, did she see something in that other girl? Some kind of gain and decide she had to get rid of her at all costs? This story's got layers, and honestly, each one just raises even more questions than the last. Stick around till the end. What you're about to hear is going to hit you hard. Nothing here is random. Every little detail, every single move, every decision leads straight to a shocking truth. Today's story takes us to Santa Fe, New Mexico. This place is seriously atmospheric, with this one-of-a-kind mix of culture, art, and history. It's famous for its adobe buildings, winding little streets, and, like, the incredible mountains that surround the city. You've got tons of galleries, museums, colourful markets, and cozy little restaurants serving local dishes. Santa Fe is perfect if you just want to chill, take a stroll, and really soak up the authentic Southwest vibe. And it's right here, just 2 days before Halloween, that the police raided a house hiding a truly horrifying secret.
Come back.
Huh?
We gonna walk in.
Who? Kick it in.
Break the door down. There's blood on the door.
Kick the door. I got you.
Police department, let me see your hands.
Back up.
Back up.
What's going on?
Who called?
On October 29th, 2022, the Santa Fe police got a call about a possible murder. They rolled up to a house that had a separate garage on the property, where the potential killers were living.
So someone was getting killed in here.
We're being told that the girlfriend's in the garage. That's where she...
Where's the garage?
Apparently killed the other 41.
You didn't hear that wrong. The police were called to this address after someone reported that a woman had been stabbed to death.
Who's in this garage? Okay, what's with you? Who's in this garage?
My cat's my son.
The person who called told the police that the alleged attack happened right there, in the separate garage on the property, where, according to the homeowner, his daughter was living with her boyfriend.
Yep, we got it.
Inside, the officers found someone they later identified as 21-year-old Grace Jennings, dead, nearly decapitated, lying next to a bloodied sword. But before we dive deeper, let's take a moment to talk about Grace Jennings. Who was she, and how did she end up in that garage? Grace Jennings was a young woman, 21, whose death became the centerpiece of a huge, high-profile criminal case. Details about her life are pretty sparse, mostly because the media focused more on the crime than on her life before the tragedy. From what's known, Grace Jennings was bisexual. At first, she was in a relationship with Linda Montoya's son-in-law, Isaac Apodaca, the same guy the police would later encounter. Apodaca was from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and at the time of the murder, he was 25, and living with Kiara McCulley in the garage of her mother's house on Jaguar Drive. According to the criminal case, both Apodaca and Kiara McCulley had previous romantic ties with Jennings. For a while, Grace moved to Albuquerque, where she met a new boyfriend who became her fiancé. But then she returned to Santa Fe, and that's when Apodaca and McCulley re-entered her life. And, well, this tangled web of relationships led us straight to October 29th, 2022, when Isaac Apodaca walked into that garage and was confronted with a horrific scene between his current and former girlfriends. What happened next? Well, you're about to see it unfold right now.
Hey, stay off the radio right now. Yeah, we got one down, Santa. What? Go back inside. Go back inside. I'm not gonna tell you again. Go back inside.
Detain him, detain him.
What are you talking about?
It looks clear. He's right here by the door. There's way too much trash. Unless we can open that back door, that garage. Can we open the garage from that side?
The girl's body was lying right by the front door, so the police couldn't open it freely. They decided to enter the garage through the back gate instead. But before doing that, they figured they should talk to whoever was home.
But why would she be here if he invited her last night?
Let me try
She
to
came over today? She was here last night and I left the house. Building. That's why you were in the house most of the night.
Yeah.
So
I was angry.
she stayed the night?
Yeah.
In my house?
Yeah, and I'm pissed about it.
Grace is not allowed here. She knows that. If they're tall and skinny, then it's going to be Grace. If they're tall and bigger, then, Isaac's a big guy. He's hard to miss. He's 6'2".
Who's Isaac's girlfriend?
She is.
You're Isaac's girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
The police identified one of the suspects seen at the scene as 20-year-old Kiara McCulley. According to the police, she lived in the same house with her mum and her ex-fiancé, 25-year-old Isaac Apodaca.
What are you to Isaac?
Well, I'm kind of mother-in-law to be.
This is your daughter?
Yes, this is my daughter.
Step out with me real quick. What's your name?
Kiara.
Kiara? Do you have shoes on?
No.
Okay.
I don't know where my shoes are.
Do me a favor.
This is his girlfriend.
Try on for me quick.
Can I get some shoes on or something?
No, hold on.
Not right now.
Can you get some shoes for her? Be detained at this point, okay?
Why? That'd be my question.
The police arrested her as one of the suspects, and she told them that Isaac wasn't home at the moment he had gone out for a walk. Meanwhile, the sheriff decided to do a sweep of the house.
I was kind of like, oh, sounds like a prank call.
Yeah, that's what I thought initially. That caught me really off guard when I opened that door.
Well, things that I see here, and it's like...
I thought it was
She's got her ears chopped off, you see that?
Huh?
She's got her ears chopped off.
No, I didn't see that.
Her ear chopped off, so...
After that, the police went out to the yard to take the daughter and her mother down to the police station.
You advise 141
Yeah, the resident.
Spent my whole morning cleaning for him.
Yeah.
I have cats. I have to. They can't
Unfortunately,
get out of the
ma'am, but
house.
this is an active investigation, okay?
Can
So
I
nobody's
block
going back
the
in the
door
house.
somehow?
No, this is a crime scene at this point.
How's my house a crime scene?
There's a deceased
There's a
person
dead
in your
body in your
garage.
garage.
That's why it's a crime
There's
scene.
a body in there?
Yes.
A dead body in your
Stand
garage.
up for me. Walk this way.
Meanwhile, other officers caught up with Isaac across the street. According to investigators, he had called 911 after his mom first reported the possible crime.
Is that Isaac? Did you call us, bro?
Yes, I called.
Here, come over here. You good? Come here. You don't have any knives, any weapons on you?
No.
No?
Put the phone down.
Just put it down for now. Just put it down. You're not in trouble, bro. Gotta make sure you don't have any weapons, okay? Here, put your hands up right here. Right here. Here, for now, bro, just because it looks like your girlfriend or whoever's in there is really injured. So for now, we're gonna put you under detention, okay, until we can figure this out. You're not under arrest. So can you tell me, how did this call transpire? How did you call us?
I walked into the garage. I walked into the garage, and when I walk into the garage, she goes, "Oh, I just did it." And I'm like,
And who was this?
Kiara McCully.
She told you that?
Very calmly and everything, blood on her hands,
And Isaac, wasting no time, immediately points the finger at Kiara. But as soon as he gets into the patrol car, the officers start digging for more details.
I was in the house, and then I walked into the garage, and she goes, okay, I did it.
That's what Kiara told you?
Yes. I looked at the ground, and there was somebody there, and I didn't touch them or anything. I looked at them and I was like, this is too traumatic for me. I'm not okay right now because I'm freaking out.
No, it's understandable, man. I understand.
Both suspects were on their way to the police station when an unexpected visitor showed up at the scene.
If I have a female approach me back here. Hi.
I'm here to pick up my daughter.
Who are you?
I'm her mother.
Here we have a mother saying she came to pick up her daughter.
No, her name is Grace Jennings.
Oh, Grace Jennings?
Yes.
10-4. Sarge, if you can actually come back here real quick.
Is she okay? Is she okay?
We'll let you know.
The routine's going to transport the mail.
We'll let you know.
What do you mean, let me know? Is she okay?
We're gonna let you know, ma'am.
Talk to us. Is she okay?
Who,
Grace! Is she breathing? Living? Is she okay?
I'm not sure of that. I don't have all the information right now.
What happened?
We're trying to gather all the information, ma'am. So, like the Sarge said, if you could go back with us to the police department, and then we can give you a little bit more information from there.
Who's Gray? Do you have an idea of Gray, or do you have a photo of Gray or anything?
Grace.
Of Grace?
Grace, I'm sorry.
That's her.
Okay. So yeah, I don't have the whole details of this, but there's a detective at the police department that can give you probably more information that I have. Can you go over there? Do you need? Are you okay to drive?
I was coming here to pick her up, to get her things and get her out of here.
It turned out to be Grace Jennings' mother. When she returned to the police station, the officers broke the tragic news to her about Grace.
No, I was coming to pick her up. No one called me. She was supposed to be leaving with me right then, right now.
Okay. So, she's deceased.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my God, no.
Okay.
Oh God, what happened?
We're still trying to figure that out.
That girl shot her.
Okay, no, she's not shot.
How did she get deceased?
So we'll explain to you everything, but Jeannie, I'm sure it's a lot for you, okay?
And now, sitting in the interrogation room, one detective has the chance to talk with Isaac.
To kind of think back to where kind of all this began before there was ever anything regarding the incident, and I want you to kind of tell me in your own memory what happened from that time all the way to getting here to this interview. I'm going to do my best not to interrupt you, okay? I just want you to give me your own account of what happened, okay?
So from the time it began would be yesterday. We were all hanging out. Everybody was talking, happy, normal kind of thing, nonchalant. Nighttime came around and we started falling asleep. Kali did not fall asleep. I did not get good rest because she had been placing something sharp in my back throughout the morning hours. She had been placing something sharp in my back, and I was talking to Grace, who was in the garage as well. I said, we have to go. She's telling us we need to leave. And I said that, and then I proceeded to start packing my stuff. And I left to the main house to go use the restroom for the last time. And then
When Isaac returned to the garage, he says Kiara walked up to him with a smile and quietly said, "I did it." He looked down and saw the body. He saw an ear hanging there. And that's when, according to him, it hit him. Grace was dead right in front of him. Isaac explained to the detectives that both he and Kiara had been involved with Grace in the past, but the moment he tried to describe what he saw in the garage, his story started falling apart. When the police asked for permission to check his phone, the texts in his messages didn't match what he had been saying at all. The messages talked about a plan, about breaking in, and some made-up stories about a storage room that supposedly someone was always opening. Then there were hints about an operation to get rid, and strange messages between him and Kiara. Even more disturbing were their conversations about a dagger, a sword, a throat strike, whether it would be instant, and what to do with the mess. Isaac tried to explain it all with these ridiculous that she had been asking about the sword in the room, and that the mess was just a puddle on the bed, because Kiara had apparently pooped at night. The detective just stared at him and asked, "So, you slept on a dirty bed? And when we come to search, are we going to find it there?" But Isaac just kept tripping over himself. He talked about a second phone he forgot to mention, said that some of the messages weren't his, and claimed he didn't know what phrases like the plan, the first step, or finish and clean up meant. The detective was blunt. "Isaac, this looks really strange. These messages make it sound like you were planning something. Your words don't match what we're seeing. Maybe we should just start from the beginning?" But Isaac stubbornly stuck to his jumbled version, even though every new text on the phone contradicted him more and more. The detective decided to press him further after seeing even more disturbing messages.
Remember, you'll move up the ranks, plus you get perks in the black market since this is your first. Your first what? Isaac, what the hell happened? Tell me what happened, for real. Can we stop making up lies about these messages? What the hell happened last night?
she was messaging me on planning on how to kill her, and
who was messaging you planning on how to kill who?
Kiara.
Kiara was messaging you on planning how to kill
Grace.
Grace?
Yes.
And what were you doing?
I was only sending a message back, only in correspondence. I just wanted to sleep.
Because you're talking about killing her here, right?
I was...
What else could this mean? Remember, you'll move up in the ranks, plus you get perks in the black market since this is your first? What else would you be talking about here?
I was trying to talk about something else, because I'm trying to get my mind off.
Isaac, really? You're trying to talk about something else there?
Yes. And I'm not...
In his explanations, Isaac starts saying even more disturbing things. The detective reads texts where Kiara supposedly asks him to help stab and counts down. 5, 4. Isaac insists it's just jokes about playing Call of Duty. But then the meaning flips in a second. She was asking him to kill her or help her strike. After that, even weirder phrases show up in the messages. If you don't do it, I'll ask someone else and it'll still count as your first. I'll rewrite the report and send it to the heads of the black market. When the detective asks what that means, Isaac stumbles. He rambles about some dangerous groups and reports he was supposedly supposed to write. He says it's all part of the past he's trying to escape. But with every passing minute, his explanations sound less and less believable. Then new messages pop up. Kiara wants to use Zer, that's what they called the sword. She mentions payment in bitcoins. And in one text, Isaac writes to her, "Just swing and don't feel bad about the target." The detective directly asks what that even means. Isaac tries to cover it up, saying he just meant, if you're going to do something stupid, just go for it without me. But then the detective reads another text. Want the shed? There you can have fun on your hunt. No one can hear screams. The walls are soundproof. Isaac claims it's a joke from some movie, that he was making up a story. But by now, it's clear to the detectives these messages don't look like jokes at all. Finally, when his words clash again with the texts, Isaac just trails off. Alright, good night. As before, his explanations only made him look more suspicious, and each new line of messages revealed an even darker side of what had been happening between Kiara and Isaac in the days leading up to the murder.
Good night. I know it hurts, I just want you to do it so you can feel the rush of adrenaline. What do you want her to do so she can feel the rush of adrenaline?
To go to sleep.
You want her to go to sleep so she feels the rush of adrenaline?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I wasn't having it anymore.
Okay. I just need help, is what she says. You are doing nothing again, she says. You say, yes, I want to help, but I cannot aid you. I can coach you what to do. You can coach her what to do? What do you mean by coach her?
Telling her to go to bed.
Oh, okay. Text me. She says, stand up for me once. I feel like I'm gonna vomit.
Soon, Kiara was sitting in the interrogation room, and the detectives had a lot to talk to her about.
7 hours cigarette. You know what? I'm feeling so cranky right now.
Did you ask anyone for a cigarette?
I didn't ask anybody.
Some of the cops sometimes have some.
Well, all my smokes are in my room, and that's now a crime scene.
Well, any idea why you're here today?
I believe it's because somebody was found dead in my room.
Where's your room at?
In the garage.
The garage?
Yes. I was trying to make sure this wasn't a freaking dream again. It feels so weird.
You believe someone was found dead in your room. Do you have any idea who that might be?
Well, sorry, I'm really tired, but last night Isaac invited my ex-girlfriend, Grace Jennings, who now is going by Yamko. I don't know anymore. I was really upset, so I just went on a walk and spent most of the night in the house. This morning, I was trying to sleep, but... If you want blocking memories from me again, God damn it. Sorry.
Who are you talking to?
My best guess is that I have DID, but I'm not 100% certain. Different personalities that come out.
Do you have names for them?
Some of them, yeah.
What are their names?
There's Abby, and then there's, we call her Jinx, because she hates people saying her real name.
Jinx.
Yeah. If you say her real name, she gets mad.
During the interrogation, Kiara starts talking about so-called personalities living inside her. She says that lately she hasn't felt one of them, a girl named Jess. Then the detective gets straight to the point. Grace, is she dead or alive? Kiara shrugs. I don't know. And then she says something that makes the detective even more uneasy. She admits that part of her actually hopes Grace is dead. She says she's still angry at her, that part of me hates her guts, but another part wants Grace to change, to admit her mistakes, to make things right. This weird, conflicting mix of anger, disappointment, and twisted hope sounds creepy and completely illogical. After that, the detective asks her to tell exactly what happened that night. Kiara starts calmly and confidently. Isaac told her that Grace was coming. Didn't ask if it was okay, didn't care about her opinion, he just presented it as a fact. That made Kiara furious. According to her, the garage was her space, her territory, and Grace was not welcome there. She went inside the house, changed her clothes, and went for a walk, already on the verge of exploding.
Tell me about last night. What did you do last night?
So, a little more detailed than prior.
Yeah.
So, Isaac tells me that Grace is coming over. Without asking me if it's okay. Is it okay if she comes over? It's like, she's coming over.
Yeah. It's your house, your mom's house. Yeah.
Yeah. The garage is supposed to be my space. I immediately get angry. I go in the house, get dressed, go on a walk.
Where'd you walk to?
The park across the way. I point as if you can see it. Wow.
What did you get dressed in? What were you wearing?
That was black medieval piece. Ow.
You alright? What's your cut from?
I dropped a knife last night, which was what I was just about to mention.
The detective notices bandages wrapped around the suspect's arm wounds, which, according to her, were caused by knife strikes.
That's a tough spot to get a cut at.
Yeah, it's
your skin moves a lot.
It's actually where I was about to go. I left and went in the house for a bit and decided to try and make something. I dropped the stupid knife and grabbed it wrong. Got mad and I just walked out of the house for a few minutes.
What'd the morning look like?
It was like I woke up and sat up around 9 or 10. Woke up Isaac, and her alarms kept going off really annoyingly.
Grace's did?
Yeah. She just would not turn them off. Her cats kept growling. She has 2 cats of her own. Ow.
Oh, she brought them to the garage too?
Yeah. She kept them in a bag all night, which is not nice. Next thing I remember is going to go take a shower.
Do you remember
There's
anything
a
else?
chunk missing. I don't understand.
Do you remember the night or not? The detective asks again. Kiara says she mostly remembers, but everything feels kind of like a fog. She's tired, exhausted, and one specific stretch of time is completely wiped from her memory. Then, she goes back to talking about the personalities. She says she felt a fierce, uncontrollable rage, stronger than ever before, and she links it to Jess, one of her imagined personalities, which, according to her, came out specifically when she was around Grace.
So you thought about killing Grace a number of times?
Yep. I have dreams about it all the time, and I'm like, I wonder what this would look like in my brain.
Aside from, have you ever planned to hurt Grace or kill Grace?
Not really planned it, more like wrote a short story about it. But then I also changed all the names and genders and stuff, so I just wanted her gone.
So I was talking to Isaac for a long time earlier before you, and we were going through his phone. He had his phone on it. There was a lot of messages between you two.
Yeah.
What were all those about? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. It's like in this kind of moggy area that I kind of remember.
Yeah.
This might sound really weird. So there's an organization that Isaac is in charge of. I probably shouldn't be saying this to a cop.
I saw the messages about it. I'm just trying to understand it more, you know?
Well, it's called Ghost. They're like an underground version of cops in a way, but a little more intense and deadly.
She says Isaac was supposedly pressuring her. Just do it! Just kill her and you'll get promoted! According to her, he was talking about some kind of ranking, claiming they had supposedly joined a group. Kiara insists she didn't understand what he meant and kept hesitating the whole time. She also mentions some kind of mark. They gave her a symbol meant to show her membership. But even here, her story is fuzzy. She says Isaac didn't really explain anything, just handed it to her and told her she was now part of the organization.
You think you killed Grace?
I'm not sure.
She is dead. That's the dead person we found in the garage. Do you have any memory of that?
Give me a second. I'm just like, what the
Yeah.
I'm trying to process this properly. This is like confusing. Did I don't know.
You think it's possible you killed her?
I'm guessing myself right now, like second guessing, trying to figure out if it was one of them or someone I haven't met yet.
Is there any way to ask them?
They're very picky on when they talk.
Oh, I see.
It's like, come on. Because I'm trying to figure out if he's been lying to me.
Yeah.
Talking about the black market and ghost and Bitcoin and the end of the world in 24 days.
Has Isaac ever killed anyone?
Well, he said he did, but I don't know if it's true.
Who do you say he killed?
I don't know who, but there was a number he said, but I don't know if it's true or if it was stupid teenagers who were always saying, oh, I killed this baby boy, I killed this baby boy, I'm so cool. Grace did that a lot.
There was a number he said, like a number of people he killed?
Yeah.
How many?
40.
40 people?
Supposedly.
It's a big claim.
Yeah. Okay. Calm down. Calm down.
So, you said there's a possibility that you might have killed Grace. Also a possibility that Isaac might have done it, right? There's kind of that gap of time missing in your memory.
During the conversation, Kiara brings up another strange detail. She says she's trying to figure out whether what she saw was a real memory or just some half-asleep hallucination. She describes a vision like a human ear was hanging on the wall. The detective asks again, and she confirms, yeah, a human ear, kind of like Grace's ear. She adds that it looked weird, full of holes, and claims that the knife that supposedly did it wasn't that sharp. Kiara insists it was probably a dream, but she talks about it in a way that makes it hard to tell where reality ends and where she's just trying to pass it off as a dream.
There's probably a good potential that both you and Isaac go to jail tonight. You understand that?
Yeah. I've never been to jail, I've never done anything. Now, going to jail for murder.
Yeah.
That was a leap.
The case got huge, it made headlines, and news reports were running it over and over again.
It was a bizarre case out of Santa Fe where police say a couple conspired to murder a woman, all for a, quote, secret organization. The first suspect in that case took a plea deal today. News 13's Annalisa Pardo has details.
This is one of the most unusual cases I've ever encountered. The facts and the stories that were told by Macaulay and Apodaca were very unusual. There are elements involving allegations of vigilante groups or that Grace was somehow a sex trafficker, which does not seem to have any basis in fact or reality. We're grateful to have some measure of justice achieved today in the case against Kiara. It really is a case that has shocked the community and shocked law enforcement and has left a family devastated. The family has talked at length about what a kind-hearted person Grace was and that her favorite color was purple. And those are two things that we're keeping in mind.
The other suspect, Isaac Apodaca, is set to go to trial in April. We also reached out to Macauley's defense attorney for comment on the plea deal, but have not heard back in time for this broadcast.
Kiara and Isaac were charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder. During the final review, Kiara agreed to a plea deal and pleaded guilty to second-degree murder with aggravating circumstances and conspiracy to commit murder, under which she would have to testify against Isaac. Under the deal, the 22-year-old faces 30 years behind bars. Isaac reportedly refused a plea deal and is expected to go to trial later this year. Before heading to prison, Kiara has one last question for the detective about the possible murder weapon.
I'm guessing I'm not getting it back.
Why not? We have to collect it as evidence.
It was $200.
Damn, where'd you get it from?
Amazon.
Amazon.
I felt like I just got stabbed.
Sorry. Well, we gotta do some paperwork. I wanna see you get some rest.
And that's it, friends. Our video comes to an end. Honestly, today's story completely blew me away. Guys, get ready for the next video. It's coming really soon. Thanks so much for sticking with me, and I'll see you again soon.